So over the last few weeks, I've had a few clients who've come in with their own HackMotion wrist sensor. So this sensor can measure, this Pro version can measure in 3 planes, so hinging, unhinging, cocking, uncocking, and rotation. Obviously more technical terms if you want to get into that. But again, this is going to measure 3 planes. The player versions, they measure more in 1 plane. So we're bowing the wrist, if you like, flexing it, or we're extending the wrist, cupping it in the swing. So again, it's going to measure this motion, this angle. And the trend I've seen is that everyone seems to be working on the same wrist pattern. So everyone seems to be working towards the same numbers, the same angles. And really, obviously, the wrist motion is very much infinite. There's lots of variation within how we can use the wrist. And that's just the left wrist. We've also got the right wrist, but lead wrist, we've got a lot of variation how we use it. But broadly speaking, there's 2 patterns that we can do. We can do one where the wrist is cupped at this point, so extended. And as we come into the golf ball, that gets less cupped, turns down, gets flatter as we strike, and continues to rotate in that direction. So we're turning that wrist down towards the floor. Now the benefit of that, obviously it closes the club face, it stabilizes the loft, but the face rotation is potentially a little bit higher. So again, the negative is that the face rotates more. That could be a positive if you want to obviously create a right to left shot shape. But the benefit is the loft control is a lot more stable. So again, we're sort of effectively turning the loft downwards as we strike the ball. We've got the loft on the club here, and we turn it down and close it as we strike the ball. Now the other pattern is going from a more bowed wrist position to a more flexed position to an extended position as we go through the ball. So we might have like a Spider-Man move as we're going through the strike. But again, the points of impact, we might have the same as the turn down effect. We might have the same left wrist angle. So it might be, say, 2 degrees flexed, 2 degrees bowed, the points of impact. But actually how it got there was very different. So we're going from a 20 degree bowed, 20 degree flexed, and the point of impact 2, and then fully extended on the way through. So the pros and cons, if you like, to this pattern is that the club face relative to the target will actually stay more stable, will stay more square, if you like. So it won't rotate as much in terms of right to left, but it will rotate a lot more from high to low. So the club will approach looking towards the floor, de-lofted if you like, and then we'll exit with more loft. So maybe this isn't as good as controlling the height, the loft trajectory, but it's really good at controlling the direction, obviously, and hit the ball really high. So again, there's 2 patterns there, 2 broad patterns. Like I said, there's infinite number of options, but the 2 broad patterns, approaching open and turning down into that lead wrist flexed, that they say moving towards that. Again, one of the big things that I want to take into account is that if you've got a certain type of grip, if you've got very strong grip, lots of cup at the start, you're never going to want to get to actually a bow position. You would have no loft on it. It's more the movement towards the flexion that's key. So going from cupped towards flexion, doesn't have to get flexed at the point of impact. Obviously, the other pattern is flexion, moving towards extension. Again, it's more about how we're moving in the direction we're moving in rather than actually the numbers we're getting particularly. But obviously, the good numbers are great reference. Obviously, but again, the 2 patterns, flexed to extended, maybe a little bit flexed at impact, or we've got extended to flexed, and obviously, like I said, that turns the loft down. That's great at de-lofting the club, if you like. This pattern, obviously, we're always adding loft to some degree as we're going through the ball, so maybe not as good at controlling the height control, but really good at controlling direction.